1220 of Vauchamps. I think we'll see the French try to consolidate their position here. The 7th Division is their strongest infantry unit, but they don't have quite enough punch. I'm loath to use the guard cavalry, especially opposite a bunch of squares. There's a possibility of maneuvering them to such a point where we could get some artillery on them. So with that in mind, we're likely not going to conduct any charges this turn. We'll just move forward with French movement phase. Well, the poor ground conditions are leaving the French far behind. See, the 3rd Division is straggling forward up the road. The cavalry have pulled back a little way, but their guns have run pretty far forward just in an attempt to keep the coalition from advancing. 7th Division wasn't able to move very far. They wanted to move those guns up, but could not. And the Imperial Guard Cavalry remains right where they are. So we're not going to have a lot of engagement this turn. Just this line right here. So we'll just go ahead and right into our defensive fire. This is the main point of contact between the two lines. See the Jaegers here, and here. Can try to bring fire down on the French battalions opposite them. So our first shot is missed. Second. We might have a strike right here. And we will. That'll be casualty right here. These small French battalions will evaporate quickly. Especially with a morale check resulting from the 2nd casualty and even numbered, so they will fail that morale check and now retreat from contact. Now, that being the only places where you can bring any defensive fire, we'll just go right into the French offensive fire. So we have the big guns, or small guns, right next to the skirmishers, so we'll just fire those. Even with some close range attacks, we don't get any casualties there. We're going to fire the 2 French battalions here. Nice big high number, so we do cause a casualty, but the morale check passes, so the Jaegers will stand their ground. And because they are 4 increments, taking a loss reduces them to 3, so they contract into 1 hex. And moving along the line, we have a little bit of artillery fire we can bring on the center here. See the guns here. Can fire on those skirmishers, and then right there. That's 9 against the skirmishers. And they have a defense of 12. So our long range sniping there, or middle range, does yield a casualty. And the morale check for that first casualty is also effective from the French point of view because they do disorder and retreat. And we'll have one final shot here. Now let's go north of the line. We have a little bit of horse artillery there. So these guns are going to be firing on the Russian 9th Corps in both these spots. And no effect on both those shots. So I think we'll call that basically the turn. We're not going to conduct any melees here. Principal job was just sort of rearrange our lines there and get our cavalry out of immediate danger. So we'll roll for some rallies here. We've got those 2 battalions south of the road. We need to try to recover. I think we lost one, which is quite a loss. But the other one I believe are going to preserve. That was kind of a short, quick French turn, a little bit of repositioning. Now we'll turn it around and follow the coalition half. Well, the starting ground conditions are definitely getting in the way. South of the road, the 10th Brigade is just barely able to shift. Same with the Russian 10th Corps. The 9th Corps can't get those guns limbered, so they're not able to fall back. And the 12th Brigade can't get their guns unlimbered to solidify the line there on north of the road. So very little movement, and the only real activity was the parting shots as the Russian division, 22nd Division, tried to pull back from contact, and the skirmishers took a few hits, or a few shots, no hits. So from a defensive fire perspective, we have no French units in contact. So we're just going to go straight to the offensive fire. So for offensive fire, we largely just have some long-range shots of the guns here against the cavalry. We have a long-range shot of some foot artillery here, and then some shots at 2 hexes of the skirmishers. So we'll just throw some dice here. Not expecting a lot of casualties. Let's see, that is 1.5. A very high dice roll, so we're going to figure out whether or not that's going to cause a hit, and it does. So the skirmisher sniped a long distance and killed the last increment of that battalion. So that's a good shot. We have some long-range shots here. Six, that's a 2, 1 to 3, no. And our last guns do not have any effect either. So no one in contact, no melees. We will simply try to rally some of our guys. We'll call that a turn. So we have this unit here and those routed guys there. Failure on the disordered and failure on the routed. So he will become routed as well. Pulling back, we have 2 units routed I think we finally recovered that miserable reserve battalion, and the same for that Russian battalion. So other than some route moves, that'll be it for this turn. So the 1240 turn largely saw the Army's kind of maneuvering, trying to look for a point to engage. The coalition were able to pull back on the left with no real strong force opposing them except for the Guard cavalry. They're able to do a very slow crab walk backwards. The French are seeing their early morning losses really come to the front here because they have so few troops to push forward. North of the road, the cavalry pulled back just to get out of the range of the guns so they could rest and recover. And the coalition attempts to reform their line across the road here. So coming up is the 1 p.m. turn. Very quick hour passed. Some good things happened, but not quite enough to bring about the French victory that they're looking for.